Hi guys, I'm the Infamous, and today we're going to be going over Nekomata's W engines, cinemas, teams, and more. I have chapters so you can skip to a part you like, but I'd recommend watching the whole way through, just so you can make sure you're getting the best out of your Nekomata. Now with that out of the way, let's go right into the video. Nekomata is a 5-star physical DPS. She took Billy's role and made it better, and because of the fact that she's a standard banner unit, we could also get her W engine. I feel like I'm saying this every video, but the fact that we can buy her W engine for free is pretty insane. This gives a lot of value, gives physical damage boost. She flanks a lot in her kit just because her dash attack actually goes behind the enemy, so you're getting a damage increase as well when you're behind them. And the crit rate buff is also huge for her just because of the fact that you want to try to crit as much as possible to maximize her damage output. Now I actually do have her signature weapon. I got lucky. I didn't buy it actually. This was just a lucky pull in the standard banner. But if you don't have this, there's a lot of good free-to-play options that I can show you. One is the other standard 5-star option, which is the Brimstone. This gives a lot of attack value, and if you're going to be playing her on field often, which I'm assuming you will, the dash counters and just everything in her kit, basic attacks, literally everything, will be increasing her attack. The only difference between this and this is the fact that you're not getting the crit rate value and your physical damage bonus. This is just raw attack, which is so huge, but you need crit on her for her to be good, so you're going to be required to get more substats. Now there's another free-to-play option which is very similar to Brimstone in the sense that you're getting attack, but this requires you to do a little bit more because you can only quick dodge and quick assist. This lets you stay on field and just farm it by doing basic attacks. This also gives you shittier stats because it's a 4-star or an A rank, whatever, when this is an S rank, so naturally it's going to be stronger. Again, this is still a really good option, and you can 5-star it because this is something you can actually craft, but this would obviously be a better option. Now another option I want to bring up, which isn't technically free to play, is the cannon rotor. If you guys are buying a battle pass weapon and you guys are considering something for Nekomata, this is really good because it gives you the same crit value that's the steel cushion her signature would give. The only downside is the fact that you're not getting the physical damage bonus. Again, you're just getting raw attack, but if you do crit, you're getting a 200% attack boost amplified off of your attack, so it's all scaled off of it. This can trigger every 8 seconds. I do think this is going to be cumulative, so it's going to build up eventually, and it's going to have a significant DPS increase. It's not better than Steel Cushion, but if you're going to plan on spending on a battle pass, I do think this is a great option. So again, consider it. It's not free to play technically, but it is a really good option. When it comes to drive discs, I do think she's pretty cool because you can change it depending on what you play like. So for example, what I mean to say is you can run a 4-piece physical set if you're running a team with either Jane Doe or Piper. They afflict assault a lot, so you can take advantage of the 4-piece passive, right? The 35 DPS increase. Now, even though that is significant, I do believe if you're playing on field much more often and you're not running a team with either Piper or Jane Doe, you can run a 4-piece crit set because you're taking advantage of her basic attacks, her dodge, her EX specials, and you're getting the attack passive practically constantly. So I do think this is slightly better if you're just running her. If you're only focusing on Nekomata, you don't have anybody else, you're not triggering assault as often, this would be better if you're playing her on field more. So just to simplify it, go 4-piece physical if you have Jane Doe or Piper on the team, and if you're running Nekomata just by herself, run 4-piece crit, 2-piece physical. When it comes to substats, I really love every attack character because all they really want is crit rate, crit damage, and attack, and she's not any different. You could also get pen on her as well, and that would be the perfect 4 substats. It is insanely easy to get. All you really want to prioritize is your crit rate and crit damage. But again, everything else in that is super useful. When it comes to main stats, it's also pretty easy. Your disc 4, you want crit rate or crit damage depending on your ratio. Personally, I'm going for crit rate, but usually when you have your substats down, this weapon is enough, so you can go for crit damage most of the time. Now, for your disc 5, you want physical damage bonus, and for your disc 6, you want to get an attack ratio. Again, pretty simple. Every attack character essentially wants the same thing. Prioritize your crit rate and crit damage, but having attack subs and pen subs would also be really good. When we start looking at cinemas, the best ones in my personal opinion are 1, 4, and 6. The reason why I like 1 so much, and I believe it is the best by far, is because you're going to ignore their physical res when you're flanking, and now with enemies being stunned, it counts as back attacks. That means that you're officially using the physical res down even more often than you would have prior to the Eidolon 1. Now, Eidolon 2 gives you energy regen when Nekomata is in combat. If there's only one enemy going up against her, so in boss fights for example, or elite mobs, and there's no other goons, this is where she will shine. The thing is, I don't think energy regen for any DPS is really that crazy unless you are specifically catering towards somebody like Anton. And again, This is Nekomata, so the Eidolon too, you know, not as big of a DPS increase. Getting her skill often is nice, but it's not as nice as getting a raw DPS increase. Now, when we're looking at 4, it does actually increase her DPS. When you're using her EX skill, you're getting crit rate buffs that can stack up to 2 times. That means you can get 14% in 15 seconds, assuming that you skill continuously, which again, you're not going to have that passive maxed out all the time, but it is there and it is nice because it makes it way easier to build her. Now, when we look at Cinema 6, it is also very, very nice. When you're doing chain attacks, ultimates, you're increasing your crit damage and it can stack up to 3 times. Now, this is a lot more constant because you're doing it continuously, right? Chain attacks are fairly easy to proc, and ultimates in combination with it would be really easy to stack. Now, the problem with that is you have to stack it up to 3 times and you have to get Eidolon 6. Now, how many people are going to have Eidolon 6? I don't know. I doubt many, but again, if you have it, it is a nice DPS increase. So if you guys plan on E6ing her, or sorry, C6ing her, right? She is gonna get huge DPS increases, but the only one that I really look at in AW is Eidolon 1. It is so good. It gives you res down, like I said prior, and it makes it even easier for her to consider back attacks. This is buffing her in both the physical res down, it's increasing her damage from her W engine, and just much more in general. This is a huge increase. When looking at Nekomata teams, we only have one that's really good right now, and we're going to have 2 in version 1.1 with the introduction of Jane Doe. Her team style requires you to get assault as often as possible. The reason why I say that is when you look at her skill, her core passive gives her a 35 attack increase when you are triggering up assault. Now, this stacks 2 times, so you can get up to 70. This is legitimately insane. Okay, really, really good. But when you look at the 4-piece planar set, sorry, HSR brain rot. When you're looking at the 4-piece drive set, you can get another 35% damage increase on top of the 70 when you hit assault. She is gonna get huge buffs in that time frame. So when you get Jane Doe, or if you have a free-to-play option like Piper, she will work phenomenally with the 2. Now, because she's cutting hairs, you could also get direct buffs with Nicole. You can trigger something like a million, right? When you have the 2 in the team, your chain attacks will do more damage. It is really nice. That's a small thing, but I think in general, because of the synergy, you can use her in the team. Ether damage, this is not going to help, but the defense reduction is very, very significant. The 2 main Nekomata teams right now are Nekomata, Piper, which I don't have, and Nicole. If you don't have that, you can run Nekomata, Jane Doe, or Nicole. Jane Doe would be a better team, obviously, because she's a 5-star unit, but a lot of you would be using it with Disorder. If you guys aren't using her for Disorder, she would be phenomenal in Nekomata teams, and I would personally recommend her. When talking about Nekomata's combat, I feel like one of the best things that everybody talks about are her cross-up abilities. Now, what I mean by that is when you hold her charge attack, you can actually go behind the enemy. Now, these cross-ups usually don't mean anything in this type of game because it's a third-party arena fighter, but because of the fact that her kit actually works with flanks very much so, whether you have her W engine or her first cinema, you will get a significant DPS increase. For example, if I go and attack him head-on and I crit, I do 1,446. Now, if I do it from the back, 1,525. Now that is just with the W engine. If you guys are flanking with her first cinema, it is a significant DPS increase. Another thing that I feel is very important when talking about Nekomata's kit is her dodge counters. They are super easy to combo into, whether it be her dashes, you can do cross-ups with them, or when you are fighting, it is really good for crowd controlling. So for example, if we let this little goon hit us, sorry, not a little, big goon. We do that, we can actually dash in between if I can time it right. See that? And you can combo into it. This is a really good dashing ability. Now, if I change the enemy into something smaller, you guys can see for yourself how far the zigzag dash counter can actually push the enemy. Right here. You see how far that guy went? You know, without killing him, obviously. Assuming he doesn't die there. Look how far the guy goes back. Now, this is also AoE, which means you can crowd control. She is very self-reliant. And again, you can easily combo into it. Let's say the guy gets pushed back. Just slash. Boom, he's dead. Or you can go in, because her dashes are very, very good. Like, if you just hold your charge attack, look how far she goes. Very useful, very useful. Another pretty cool thing is not only is her mobility good, not only is she very self-reliant, but when you're doing her skill, if you just don't happen to dodge, you could also have invulnerability frames. I'm in the air, it stagnates too, which is very nice, but just like that whole duration, I'm invincible. That is sick. Even when doing the unenhanced version, she can still use her iframes. It is very, very sweet. I do think you can use it in niche scenarios, but again, when you're doing something like zzzero, I say this every video, the corruption effects really do become a pain, and this is something that I think is worth mentioning. The iframes for her are also very easy to trigger because, like I just showed you, you don't need energy for it. You could just throw it out whenever you want to use your skill. Again, pretty niche, but the iframes are nice nonetheless. Another thing that I want to mention that is very important for Nekomata's kit is her ultimate. It is very similar to her dodge counter in the sense that it provides a huge amount of AoE and crowd control. But because of the fact that it's an ultimate, if I were to let this big guy try to charge at me, ooh, he's stepping up. Oh! Yep, too bad, pal. Okay, too bad. He's now stagnated. Again, it is really nice to combo into. Very simple. It is not that deep in general. She's a very easy character to use, but because of the fact that she's so self-reliant, I do think it is worth mentioning. All you have to do is flank. Like, these things are very easy to do with her, and I do think she's a very underrated DPS. If you guys have her, and you guys have somebody like Piper, try to use her. Just give her a shot. Now, I do say this every time, but I still stand by it every single time too. I feel like everything I say, it is pretty easy to understand, but I don't think I'm doing it justice by just showing you and telling you. I think it is better to see it in action. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you some Shiryu defense, and I'm gonna show you a fight that you're actually super effective with physical. And I'm not gonna have Piper, unfortunately, and I'm not gonna have Jane Doe, unfortunately. But you guys are gonna see that even with somebody else as a substitute, like Billy, for example, that team is still really good, and it is still viable for something as hard as Shiryu defense. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get right into this fight.
Nekomata! そんなにいいぞあんたに決めたぞ 見せてあげる。そんなに以上開始。あんたに決めたぞ。でも食らえ。逃がさないわ。後ろ後ろ。そこだ。私の番。捕まえた。そんなに懲らしめてやるぞ。爪を研ぎに来たぞ。
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a pretty niche video because a lot of people don't actually like Nekomata. Surprisingly, I found that out, but a lot of people don't like her playstyle either. I do think she's a very fun character to play, one of my favorites personally, and I don't necessarily love her design, but the combat is that fun for me that I do play her. I do recommend you guys give her a shot if you guys haven't already, and if you guys do somehow lose your 50-50 on her, I hope I was able to help at least a little bit more. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.